Then we're gonna start with another episode of The Blunt Coach, and I love to have you back, Rawad, my friend, kind of partner in crime when it comes to, right? I love how you always does that. I try to get it the whole time.
We're gonna keep trying the whole day today.
It's the groove,
until we get there, yeah.
right? It's the kind of groove that you got, and that my body for some reason is mine is like very German or like very.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Geschehen.
Gerne.
So you're on a journey of self-exploration. I can say that, right? Like we all are to some extent. Some are more consciously, some are less conscious. How about yours? I mean, you've been doing, the other day I saw a post from you online that was like all your certificates on on the floor.
I cringed so bad before posting it because I'm trying to make my Instagram like a yoga teacher friendly.
Yeah.
Wait,
why yoga teacher friendly?
Because I'm teaching yoga,
yeah,
and doing like the hypnosis stuff, and I want my Instagram to reflect that because people don't know me yet, and then they get a chance to explore me first through that, and then they can come to my class.
Well, yoga teacher friendly sounds like you want yoga teachers to watch your.
No, sorry. I mean, like as a content wise, it looks more like a yoga teacher.
Okay.
Rather than, I don't know what it is now. Yeah.
So, but now I want to say something. A second ago, I asked you, like, do you want to be a full-time teacher? And you're like, no.
Yeah, no.
So how does that go together?
Okay, so holding spaces for others is really heavy, right? And teaching yoga, like at least in my perspective, something very holy somehow. So in a way that like holding the space for others emotionally, physically, guiding through the sequence, also being comfortable being triggered by people, especially in Yin Yoga, where you don't know if someone is bothered or they're just letting go. Like especially when they do, I'm like, are they letting go? Are they like super unhappy with the sequence? So teaching is really holy in terms of holding space for others and emotionally, physically, and also mentally. And it's a great thing to do. I respect and admire everyone who does it full time. On the other hand, I don't think it's made for me full time. I think also by nature, I'm a person who likes to do a lot of things. And lastly, the financial aspect of it is not as rewarding as other jobs. And I do have obligations on that.
But that's an interesting one, right? That I mean, just thinking back of my yoga teacher training is like so expensive. And all the certificates around that you do, like the hypnosis training, you've done that, I've done that. What have I done? Like therapeutic meditation, exactly, the Kundalini, then all the other trainings around coaching, whatever. It's always like thousands and thousands and thousands of euros. Yeah. And in the end, as a yoga teacher, you make like, if you're lucky in a class, you make like 75 euros.
Well, that's after years of teaching.
Okay, I was lucky that,
You're lucky, yeah.
Nevertheless, I oftentimes also give sessions for like, I don't know, 25, 30, sometimes 40 when I'm lucky. Yeah. And it's, why do you think that is?
So so first of all, like we have to look at the economy today. Like economy is, we can curse here, right?
Well, yeah, always.
Last time we cursed,
I don't know.
Economy is fucked. Yeah. So
do we have to like bleep that out or something?
No.
Okay, why
unless
people
people complain.
Okay.
But I don't think they like kids should listen to this yet. So.
Okay, what's coming?
Yes, so basically what happens is that you have urban sports club, and the great thing about it that it made all this stuff accessible for people. The down part is that it also made it very difficult for teachers to make any money.
Why wasn't it accessible beforehand?
Because people need to pay a lot for the class. So now you pay a subscription, like a month subscription, where you know you can go to X amount of sessions, like 30 sessions a month. And if you split it, like, I don't know how much it is. I think they pay 80 or so.
But that's just exploiting, basically. It's not making it, because you were able to take your classes beforehand, and you kind of, the thing is, when we always lower the standards, also the cost standards, then of course, why would someone like the next studio say like, hey, I don't have to pay my teachers this and that because that doesn't cost so much anymore. So,
Yeah, exactly. This is like the whole dynamics of like also making the studio sustainable.
Yeah.
And also having sustainable. It's just very complex. I'm not the expert on that, but I just say I did my math, and it was like, hey, for certain obligations I have, I cannot really have that as a main income source. Also, I'm not as great as as I would like to be to make it like fully full-time. I think some things need some time to deepen the practices and build the audience and community. It's very community focused too, which is great and also difficult because then everyone is trying to build a community and so on. And
is it a community or a network?
That's the thing. So like I attended training the other day and I spoke to one person and they came through referral of friends, even though they never met the teacher before, but they signed up and paid a few hundreds. So I think network plays a big role.
Yeah.
And the community also that comes with time because you cannot always have a coffee with someone that actually comes to your class. So that's how at least I see it. And I think for next year, for 2025, yeah, you're listening this year or next year? Like for 2024, it's a whole decade in 1 year. So I was talking to a friend the other day and they were saying, oh, this year feels like 4. I was like, oh, 8. It's 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in a good way and also in a like heavy way, both. And I think 2025 will be kind of like me focusing like fully on my main focus, which is tech. Basically, I work in tech and tech management. That will be my focus. And then if I can teach 2-3 classes a week, I'll be very happy. And I think that's the plan. So let's see how it goes.
Nice. I would actually love to talk to you because I feel like you have a different take on that than other people, and that might be quite interesting. Surely it's interesting to me. What do you consider success? Or what do you think about success? Let's put it that way, because what you consider it is another aspect, but what do you think of it?
Yeah, so there is, I think, 2 angles to look at it. Like, I think people see success as an end goal, which I strongly disagree. I haven't seen someone who've done a crazy exit financially or has, I don't know, the job they dreamt about fully. They're kind of like they don't see themselves successful.
Yeah.
Or they haven't reached success yet. And then there's the other part which is successful, which I want to talk about in a bit more. And I was like roaming around this definition for a while.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, like I think I read it somewhere or heard it somewhere, which was basically it says, let me remember it properly. I think it says, people who seek happiness will always have a lingering sadness all the way. And people who seek peace have nothing opposite to it. There's nothing lingering it, nothing underneath it, just pure peace, like a lake, it's just peaceful. And I think success, like being successful, is being able to tap into peace frequently during a day. Because it cannot be a constant state. It cannot be just permanently there.
Yeah.
We have to get in and out of it to appreciate it also. There's no constant high.
It reminds me a little bit of the mechanics or mechanisms of meditation. This, like, I think we talked about it before, but what I have learned back in the days was that meditation, which is why drugs are kind of it's a fast track. So we had a little hiccup. And we're just talking about success. And I remember back in the days when I was trained for meditation as I started out, is that the mechanisms of meditation is you have 20 minutes biochemically to build up the kind of plateau that you need to biochemically be in a state of meditation. Then you have 20 minutes for your brain or your body to hold that level of chemicals. And then it is 20 minutes where your body wears off those chemicals. And then again, you have 20 minutes going in, 20 minutes staying, 20 minutes out.
Like a sleep cycle, nice.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why you basically experience those stages and those phases of like, I'm deeply in, I'm sliding out, I'm sliding back in, I have a new experience, and it's my meditations for sure have always been like that there was always this kind of like wavelength, right? And it was always kind of the same. And this is why also, for example, when they say all those drug-infused self-explorative experiences are awesome, but they're so quick and they last for a very long time that you have an experience and then it wears off and your body needs a lot longer afterwards to integrate them. So what you were just describing to me reminds me a little bit of that, of that long phase and quick kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, well said, yeah.
When I think of success and what you just described, the kind of peace, There's like people who tap into peace every now and then, and they come back out of it and they tap into it again. Because also, like, you cannot be like, maybe the Dalai Lama can, I don't know, but you can't.
It's like I took to politics.
Is that political?
No,
Is even the Dalai Lama
I don't know.
political today?
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I don't think you can expect anybody to be 24/7 at peace.
Yeah, and
But I love
if they
what
do,
you
it's great, right? If someone got to that state, like chapeau bar, right? Like it's amazing. Please keep it. Please reach out and let us know how.
Reach out to him. We put in the show notes
Please,
where to
yeah.
reach him.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I think that the other state is kind of like, what does peace mean, right? And I think that
What does it mean to you? Yeah.
yeah, so I think people like maybe it's some confused to kind of like just sitting down on my sofa and doing nothing.
Okay.
And but I think the deep peace is when we are at war. Let's use war as an example because it's maybe like imaginary enough, and then you have like all these bombs around you and bullets, and somehow it's just everything's calm deep inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, I think that is, I heard something about, well, it was a talk about psychopaths. And that, we have increasingly more psychopaths in the society, and that especially big cities are host to a lot of, they're actually kind of breeding psychopaths. And then they were talking about certain traits, and that we all wear a mask. And it's a matter of like, how much do we know about our mask? How much do we communicate that we have a mask and we know it is and play it open? Or how much do we pretend that the mask is the authentic self, right? And the person who talked about it, he was kind of like, he would always be more afraid of someone who, let's say, who pretends to be loud and pretends to be like really, really dangerous, because behind that danger, there is something that is a huge vulnerability that they are kind of trying to hide. And that vulnerability is hurting. And when someone is hurt, they much more easily hurt back.
Yeah.
Right? But they hide it behind this like big mouth. Whilst people who have a severe calm, but you see that calm is a matter of self-discipline. They know their pains. They have looked into the face of their demons, and they have dealt with them, and they deal with them over and over and over like this. There is peace, there is no peace, there is peace, there is no peace. And he was like, those are the people that are, when someone is much more disciplined around knowing how to, it's this kind of like, I'm not hurting someone because I know how much I can hurt. This is much more interesting to have like as partners, as business partners, for example, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, an interesting perspective about pain, right? Like pain is a great source of fuel. And then how we decide to use that car after we put fuel in it is really up to us, right? And the more conscious we can be, even for a half a second when we're feeling pain, can just make a big difference. Because
what do you think about that? I believe we have to normalize pain.
Yes, and being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Totally.
I'm not talking about like going to Ibiza is uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Says the one
like,
who just went to Ibiza.
yeah, I just came back from Ibiza, and I'm judging anyone. I had a great time there. But like
being comfortable or uncomfortable?
I was extremely comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. Like physically and I'd say comfortable, mentally, emotionally very pushed out, which was very nice. It was also very inspirational. I think that's how I found my inspiration there. Yeah, kudos to David. He hosted the training in hypnosis, and it was amazing in 1 week. Very intense, very, very lovely. Yeah, and so we have this. Everyone says like, I'm feeling this. I don't want to feel this anymore.
Yeah.
Which is understandable. But I think the root cause behind is that this is becoming too heavy for me at the moment. I need a break. And if we try to look at like, hey, actually in the break, or this is too heavy for me, it becomes much a healthier question to deal with, rather than how can I get rid of the pain. Instead of saying, how can I get rid of the pain? If we ask, how can I build more resilience? That actually changes the whole formula. And that's something I work with my coaches usually, that we're working on, like, hey, I don't try to reduce your life stressors. I try to increase your resilience to stress. And that's part of the positive intelligence kind of like teaching coaching school, which mostly says like, hey, like life is tough. We have some baggage sometimes from relationships, from parents, from economic situation, from political, geopolitical, whatever it is.
Surely, yeah.
And this is the cards we have. So we can either say, I don't want these cards, or I can say, hey, like with these cards, what's the best case that helps me get better cards? Or use the cards to actually transform it into like a high impact thing and so on. So this is a bit kind of how I see pain. It's one of these cards. It's a very heavy, very painful, very difficult thing. And maybe I can take like a few seconds to talk a bit about like the last 2 months.
Yes, please.
So like sadly we shut down the business. So it was a very heavy process to take the decision and also to do it. And also at the same week of shutting down the business, the war in Lebanon started.
Yeah.
Like the heavy part of it. The war has been there for a while, but like the heavy part started. And I, of course, like everyone else, have friends and family impacted. Like more than half of the population now is mislocated. So 1 in every 2 people, that's a lot. And
that's a lot. Yeah, wow.
Exactly.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and it's quite heavy. And for me, it was very painful because like my job was one of the grounding pillars of my life. Family is one of the grounding pillars of my life. And then suddenly I have like 10 hours a day free. And I'm on the news watching what's happening because I care about my family and I want to check in on them the whole time. So there was a lot of pain, anxiety, and also a self-disappointment arising in that phase. So what I did was,
can you elaborate on the self-disappointment? What was self?
Yeah, one is like kind of like shutting down the business. Like ideally it would be successful, so I don't have to do that. So there's a bit.
Yeah, but what was it like? I mean, was it your doing? Was it your mistake?
No,
or
there's no
okay.
mistake. Basically, it's like strategically it makes sense to shut it down.
Yeah.
And like for the employees and also for the shareholders.
Yeah.
So that's how usually we do the math on it. It's not like, oops, I did something wrong and now we have to shut it down.
Yeah.
And then the second was the family part. Like I want to be next to my family and feel and share the fear with them, share what they're experiencing, their anxiety, share everything. But then here I am far away from them. And that's actually a lot of friends who are also living away, sharing the same emotion and feelings. And what I did was I took what I call depression week. So I had like 1 week where I had to do a lot of paperwork and a lot of like stuff to shut down everything. So I just said, hey, I did that and I scheduled a full week of depression. And I called depression week, where I just scheduled to sit down, eat ice cream and do nothing.
Yeah.
I think in the day I tried to do yoga like every other day or every day and just meet one friend for a coffee in the day.
I remember that week.
Yeah, we spoke about it. Yeah, we actually had a phone call, right? Yeah,
but that was a heavy week for me as well. I remember.
Okay.
Was for some reason it was a heavy. Maybe it was
the suffering in the war just makes everything like,
you feel that
coming from the one energy concept. Yeah, and then I was like, I scheduled and then I just sit down with these emotions and then they became so heavy and I was like, okay, like now I need to eat more chips. Now I need to eat more ice cream and so on. And then at some point I just let them be and then they became less heavy.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I processed everything now. They're still there. Now I made space because it's like the belly, when we eat a lot, then the belly gets bigger. And then the more we sit down with the emotion, just our resilience increases. And then afterwards, I felt great again, like great, whatever that means. Feeling the pain didn't go. I just had more energy back. And then I went back to my life, like doing more yoga, seeing people, socializing. And then I noticed 3 days later that, hey, it's still, there's leftovers.
Yeah.
So I shut down again, blocked another week, went
Wow.
through it, and that helped me kind of also support other friends who are going through the same.
Yeah.
Because everyone's living abroad, they have family there, that I was able to reach out, like, hey, how are you feeling with this? Even I'm advising to a company there, so I was jumping on calls with them. Hey guys, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Because first you're like, shit, I feel bad. I wanna like not be super involved. But then afterwards, like, no, let's get back on track. Let's try to support them. Let's be there. And then transforming this pain as a fuel to actually care more. So even though I'm going to experience more pain by caring more and hearing stories about, I don't know, their cousins passing away or they're losing their houses and so on, but still I'm like, hey, I got you. I'm there with you. And that somehow opened some channels in me that I'm just like kind of like even more empathic than before. And I also have more confidence that pain is going to be there. It's inevitable. I just have to use it as a source of power and fuel to care more for others rather than less. But it was very heavy to.
But let me ask you one thing. Not everyone has the opportunity to take themselves out every now and then when they're in a high phase of pain for like a week, sometimes not even a day, or an hour. Yeah. How do you think one can get there without that?
Yeah, I would say Yin Yoga again, back again.
Going to him.
Yeah, but because it's just like we have to sit down and we use our body as a meditation tool, right? So we sit down and then we take some weird asana, which is very uncomfortable. And what happens that when we get uncomfortable with something we have control on, somehow the valve opens up because our subconscious thinks like, oh, I have control over the valve because it's something I'm like, oh, it's my hand like this. So if I do it, it's uncomfortable again. Then the valve opens up and then we start like processing some stuff.
Yeah.
And then we seal it again once we get out of the class, right? And then this like kind of like constant decompression just helps a lot. And it can be yin yoga, again, meditation, get your benches. That's in the previous episode. And I would say really slowing down. Usually what I recommend people I'm working with, like the coaching is take 5 minutes every morning, right before you leave your house, your work, or you start working from home or whatnot.
Yeah.
You make hot water. Not coffee, no tea, nothing, just hot water. And you sit down in front of a window or balcony or so. Just sit down in front of it and just sip it for 5. Put a timer, put your phone away, sit down there. 5. You can be thinking about work or your plan for the day. It's not a problem. But just sit down there 5 minutes, doing nothing except sipping the water. And the heat from this will bring us back to our body. Because there's no taste, just hot water.
Yeah.
Then we start just connecting again. And then maybe there's like 1 second of decompression. And then another one, and then another one. And then we start like everyone who does it says, my day looks so much different now. It's ridiculous. I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we talked about it before, if you know it. There is this concept I think it's in Russian culture, pasachok, they call it. And it's before you leave the house, when you go to a journey, you get ready, you get dressed, everything is there, and then you sit down. 100%. And you sit down and you wait until you calm down. And when everybody's calm, this is when you leave the house. And I really like
so cool.
the concept.
Now I can use it as a concept. What's called again?
Pasachok.
Pasachok.
And my family does that. And I do it oftentimes that before I leave the house, I just for a moment sit down. And it really changes the energy because it's not this like, this like, okay, I need to go. Okay, I need to grab this. Okay, then I need to this and like that. You're running into the street, and then there's people, and then there's the car, and then right, and everything just accumulates. No, you finish this one step of preparing to go. You come down, you recalibrate, reset the energy, and then you go into the street, whatever that offers then. And I really like that, and I think that's a very, very good advice. It can happen in so many different ways. I don't know. It's even this like what I recently do. I've heard it from Dr. Daniele Ganza. He's a peace scientist, basically, Swiss guy.
Of course.
A lot of people discuss him very controversially because he's one of those people who puts the finger into the wounds and he gives offerings from his perspective that people say like, yeah, if that was possible, right? But he's discussing it from his point of how would peace be possible? What do we need for that, right? And then everybody else needs to figure out if it's possible, how that awesome. And he said the other day, like he always, when something is like going wrong, and for example, he's missing his flight or he's super stressed out or he's being attacked from the media for something, he said he reminds himself of 5 things he's so grateful for in his life. And it's just, and he says, it's not this like, 5 things. He says, if you cannot come up with five things in like 30 seconds, right? Something is wrong.
Yeah, we can just start with the ears and eyes and mouth. That's the beginning, and then have 3.
Well, so but for example, he said in his talk the other day, and I thought about that because this is also part of my teaching. It's you cannot just say, I'm grateful for the sunshine. If you don't feel the sunshine, if you're not actually a person that seeks the sun, and whenever when I think of sun, I instantaneously have this, because I'm such a sun seeker. If you're not, but you use that as an example, it doesn't work. So you need to take something, for example, for me would always work like a hot cup of coffee, because that's soul food for me, you know. Like I remember a little girl when my grandma, she had this like coffee grinder, and I was always sitting there like, you know, smelling the coffee. I loved it.
Yeah,
I even loved the smell of gasoline, which is why I love gassing my car, because it reminds me of being a kid. And
you mean your electric car?
Well, you know, we do what we can.
We do what
And
we
you know,
can.
I have my weak points.
Sorry, it
But
was just there, so I had.
no, it's really fine. You know, we can discuss that. I have a long
No,
list
no,
of
no, 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 no. No
No.
politics today. Yeah.
Well, we try. It's hard, right? These days, everything is about politics, and I feel like lesser and lesser people have really knowledge, like a broad knowledge of politics. The more they talk about politics, and the more you're like, wait, is somebody actually knowing what they're talking about? Is there people who are really specialists, or is just everybody having an opinion these days, opposing something,
That's
right?
why we don't do politics.
That's why we don't do like that.
Because nothing is real, right? So
That's why the
nothing is
conversations
real,
with
yeah.
him are just like up my alley. I just love him so much. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, thanks. I wrote down some stuff here, so awesome. Nice, thanks for the tip.
Well, yeah, my pleasure. But for a moment, I want to come back to, because the fun thing is when I was thinking about having a conversation with you again, which, you know, I always appreciate them so much, because it's more of a, I don't know, I feel like we're more talking philosophy. You know, I mean, philosophy is big, and again,
We
there's
get high on this.
specialists for
We get
that.
high on
We
this,
get
yeah.
high on that.
We get high on this, yeah.
No, but you know, it's allowing the mind to just fly. And I was thinking of you, and I was really thinking of like a person like you who has been and is very successful in what he's done in the tech world, from my perspective, of course, but also how I met you, right? And the path you are taking right now. And then I see you and you tell me like, as a yoga teacher, it's not really easy to make money, which is something that on a broad spectrum would not be considered successful from a society perspective. Like success, a lot of people have success. Yeah, exactly. Pointing to money, which in a way makes sense, because the world is a little bit functioning, a little bit.
We have invoices yet to pay, yeah.
Yeah, functioning by money. So how has your understanding, if so, has changed when it comes to success, from where you come from to where you're currently going? I'm not saying going towards, because you're more like just going, right?
Yeah. So like of course in my so a bit of background, I've been working in tech, I think 17 years now.
Yeah.
Or 16.
That's a long time, yeah.
A long time. Like professionally working. And of course in the beginning it was all about titles. Like
there you go.
I need to get the next title.
Yeah.
And I think that was great because
title means like executive.
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
Like until CTO, co-founder, all this
all the triple letters.
Yeah. And the shorter the title is, the more fancy it is. That's the saying. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also a meme saying like the smaller your clothing size, the higher up your rank in society. It's disgusting, right? But this is what they say in entertainment.
Okay.
The smaller your size, the higher you're up in society. I hated it back then when I heard it for the first time. That I was like, yeah, it's heavy. And you know, this is what sparks all the anorectic people out there and all that. But never, that's a whole different story. That just reminds me of that. Yeah. So you were collecting titles, you were saying.
Yeah, and I think that was great because one, I got a lot of experience along the way, like incredible experience. Like of course I say about myself, incredible experience. Please take it with a grain of salt. A lot of salt. Just shove salt into it. Second is it gave me the exposure also I needed to build kind of like a bit of also like character, a lot of character, build a lot of presence, build also impact, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, both. And three is also I enjoy it. I enjoy working in tech. It's so cool. It's so awesome. So I'm grateful I get paid to do it because it's just such a source of joy for me and flow. And first years, I think until I got my first CTO title or head of engineering, acting CTO, I was like, I need the next title. and it was amazing. Like I really also very depressing.
Mhm.
So very stressful. I'm always hungry for the next thing, unable to enjoy the title I'm in, and so on. On the other hand, that pain fueled my accomplishments. So
Mhm.
I was always able to
Yeah.
do things faster, better than like many others.
Yeah.
Also be more creative. So that really fueled me a lot.
Yeah.
The only thing missing was, I think, if I was more mindful back then
Yeah.
and making it intentionally, I think that would have made a great difference, especially with my burnout like a few years ago. So yeah, so that's how I would do differently, but I would highly encourage people, like, be as ambitious as we can curse, be as ambitious as fuck, like just be ambitious, like go for change, just like really don't settle down. Being mindful doesn't mean like, oh, I don't want to know. It means like I want to make change with intention. And just be intentional. Like, hey, say I want to make the title because I want this amount of money in my bank account every month. But just not like more. More is not good. I want this money, which is 20% more than my current salary, is good.
Yeah.
More abstract, more is not good.
Yeah.
And I've been like also coaching a lot of people who want to get promoted fast, and they're exceptionally talented people.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, like put a number on it, make it explicit, make it intentional,
Mhm.
know what you're gonna sacrifice, write it down, be okay with it, be at peace, and then do the jump. Because the more clarity we have along the path on what we're sacrificing, the better everything is, because it doesn't become a sacrifice anymore.
But what would you say when thinking about the concept detach from the outcome? How does that go together?
Yeah, so this is we're gonna now go like very, very up, right? So yeah, so okay, so in a spiritual practice, we should ideally not be linked to the outcome in terms of like I give you chocolate, then you give me back bread, right? So I should not connect like, hey, I only give you chocolate because I want the bread back.
No, well, this is not what I mean. It's
Mhm.
more like my path has to end in being married to a blonde guy living in a 3-story house, earning 120K a year. This would be like detached from the outcome. It's so explicit that you may miss on your path a different alternative version of your
Yeah,
happiness or success.
so I have an unpopular opinion on this.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so hello everyone. So if someone wants a blonde 6'5" finance bro, I think it's great. And I think it's great that they have this clarity.
Yeah.
But if along the way they're not able to enjoy the process of finding this person,
Yeah.
then this is where it's not good. So what we want is we want to enjoy the process and have a clear outcome. I think the clarity on outcome is great. Some people are attached to the outcome in a way that like I will do anything like to justify that outcome.
Yeah.
Not good. And then the awareness and the mindfulness should be on the path.
Yeah.
Like for example, I go on a date. Okay. When I go home and it's a bad date, am I feeling bad and shit, or am I feeling good? I found it early. That's not a good date. Rather than 6 years later.
Yeah.
Right. And then if I'm happy that's not 6 years later, this is good.
It was a good date eventually.
Exactly. Yeah, because that's what like dating is about. Also, it can be just not that, right? And that's fine. But at least the outcome should be there, should be clear. And then the mindfulness should be about the journey itself and having positive emotions along the way. It doesn't mean that it's all fluffy. Sometimes maybe you meet a person, they're assholes, right? And you have a coffee and you're like, fucking asshole. And then you go home and like, I should never date again, which is fine. But at least kind of like being mindful of the steps along the
Well,
way.
but I think that's absolutely clear. What I'm thinking or what I'm referring to is like in the end, when you say should be blonde, should be 6'5" tall, and there is actually a person that is with dark hair and I don't know, is 5'9".
My opinion, don't take them.
Really?
My opinion, like, again, it's a very not popular. Don't take them.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah, because if I'm so stuck that this is exactly who I want, then even if Aladdin comes tomorrow on a flying carpet, I'm gonna still say no.
Okay. I literally disagree.
Yeah, good.
But it's like, of course, this is what we're here for, but it's funny to hear that someone, okay, you know what I really want to see now, I mean, we're friends, so I will follow your path. And I will know if that's true. And if so,
Yeah.
I'll have this like, wake up moment of like, yeah, I mean, in the end, everything in this world exists. Everything has a validity to it, and it's totally fine. But it's interesting to hear that, especially from you.
Yeah, but ask me what will happen when people do this.
What happens when people do this?
So when people have this clarity about the end goal,
Yeah,
okay, and they're enjoying the path,
yeah,
then what will happen that something will change about them, that they start looking at the end goal from a different angle.
yeah,
So instead of saying, hey, I want him, like, I don't know, working in finance, 6'5", it's gonna be like, hey, you know what? I just want someone a bit taller than me, so I feel more cozy when we cuddle.
yeah.
So when they meet someone, they will be wondering, will I feel cozy when we cuddle? Versus, hey, they have to be a 6'5". You know, the type of criteria changes.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Right? To become
yeah.
something more of like relatable to their needs.
Yeah.
Rather than, and maybe like just like some people just have like a clear figure, like I need, I don't know, like this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
Like great for you, right?
Yeah.
But then asking a bit deeper question, like what is the need within me that needs to be fulfilled?
Well, this is what I would usually do when people tell me like this is the outcome they want to have, and I'm like, okay, you have to detach from it a little bit because otherwise you might miss out on the opportunities and on the love of the path.
Totally.
But you're totally right. In the end, what happens is like, why does he have to be taller? Because I have a nook I fit into.
Exactly.
Why is he blonde? Because maybe my genetic code is just, more drawn towards
Totally
whatever
fine.
like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so in the end, we're speaking the same language. You're just a little bit more. You're more blunt than me, dude.
I told you the Ibiza thing changed me.
Apparently. Awesome. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, because telling people to detach from the outcome is so difficult.
It is difficult.
So
it's very true.
It's a war I don't want to.
Like I can speak to you about that, but it's the same like when I want someone to tell me something I really need to know and I ask them the question, they're on guard. But if I state something that is into that direction, but is something that rages them up, they will give me all the answers without me even asking a question.
Exactly.
So it's a matter of how to get in there, right?
Emotions triumph over intellect every single time.
Yeah.
And we're like the other day I read it, like we're not thinking machines, we are emotional machines that think.
Well, yeah, this is to process whatever is being intaken here.
Yeah, exactly. And then so like you want the goal, keep the goal.
Yeah.
That's like the process. Are you enjoying your dates? No. Haha. Let's fix that.
Are you enjoying your process right now?
Actually, yes. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Like for the content, I've been going on dates again. That's excitement.
So there is another,
Yeah,
hint.
I'm not gonna talk. No, nine, no. No, so for me, I'm trying to focus on the process itself, and it's very like so. First of all, like the quality of my dates have changed a lot over the years, in a good way. Also, me being intentional about the process have made it better for me.
It's so funny when I'm sorry to say, when I hear people talking about dates, I'm always like, I've never been dating. I've never had dates. Like I had relationships.
You're not missing out on much. Yeah.
No, right? I always wonder what that is like. I think I had one date exactly. And that one date was kind of like, not after 3 seconds. I was like, can I go home, please? And I pretty quickly told him like, hey, this is not working. I think I'm gonna go home, and that was
Should be half an hour, half an hour, quick coffee, like don't do walks, it's winter, you get sick. Just do coffee because looking people in the eyes does something.
Yeah, it's true. I just posted something about that. It's this thing. I mean, there's a reason why people wear sunglasses these days everywhere, and people don't look each other in the eye on the streets because it's so vulnerable. It's like literally meeting through the soul window, and soul to soul is being naked as there is no more nakedness.
100%,
and there is like oxytocin, is being flushed into your system, which means you are getting attached in some way to the other person. People are so afraid of being connected to someone because they might lose the connection. They might be,
100%.
shoved away.
And here's the thing, like I've been reflecting a lot on that recently in the last few weeks, and I think if I'm more afraid than curious, then I should not be dating. I should stop, take a detox. And once I'm more curious than scared, then it's okay to keep dating the same person or other people, like doesn't matter, but at least this is the tipping point. And that for me took some reflection to really get to it. So, and I ask myself, like sometimes like you're seeing someone, I don't know, second time, like second coffee, dinner, whatever, and you're like, I'm not sure if this is gonna go somewhere. Then I ask myself, am I more curious at this point, or am I more like in pain mode? And then if the pain is there, then I stop. Why? Because it doesn't matter if we're a good match or not. It matters how my perspective is of the moment. And anything coming from fear is not gonna end up well.
Well, and even if you are a good match, but you're not ready yet because there's some things more for you to do, and your body tells you like, hey, it's still too dangerous for me to, to go further, then it's not the right time. And if it's the right person, they will be there in the time when you are ready.
Yeah, or not, and it doesn't matter.
Or not,
like, abundance should be everywhere. I know it sounds sad. Also, like as men, it's different than women because of age and so on. I get it, but like still, like if you think about abundance, because there's more humans coming every day to life and so on. So
actually, we're declining. It's just it doesn't look like I've seen a lot of shows about that lately. For now, it looks like we're raising, but there will come the tipping point because there's not enough babies coming after. And at some point, we will be much more elderly people than young people. And the few young people that are there cannot make up for all the elderly.
Our generation or the next?
No, I think it's in 3 or 4 generations. We're still the messy ones. There's like too many of us, and there's too much littering and all that kind of
but
stuff.
maybe like they find something or they discover something, and then they're like, oh, you know what? Like maybe like more people can just have more kids because there's abundance of resources now, and there's no current economics. Like like raising kids is hard, but like if 2 parents don't have to work because I don't know robots or whatnot are bringing the income, then I would have 10 kids.
Yeah, well,
but not with
I hope my biology allows me for at least 2 or something still.
But like again, men and women are very different on that.
That is that is.
Please, audience, don't get triggered. If you get triggered, I'm sorry, but just.
Well, again, we are the Blind Coach. There's everything here that can be discussed.
There's not 3 triggers today, then we did not do a good job.
Well, that's true. But we're open to everything and everyone having their opinion on that, because this is what we're here for. That we have different opinions and different beliefs and different understandings, and then we come together and then, well, that was a beautiful conversation, I think. Is there something more you wanted to say? I had something in mind, but it slipped, so I guess the neuronal connection wasn't strong enough.
Come to my classes if you want. I'm giving yin classes.
So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put your classes in the show notes, and we're gonna put, well, of course, and we're gonna put your connection on Instagram, where you always, I think, let people know when and where. In Berlin, teaching at Shala Studios, I think.
In the new studio also, there will be one hypnosis class. I'm gonna give.
Is there another new studio? There's the 2 in Kreuzberg and then in Prenzlauer. Or there's a third.
There's now a Mitte, and Prenzlauer will be phased off, and then Mitte is gonna take over.
Interesting.
Yes.
Oh, there is news here I need to get. So
block your calendar if you're there on the 8th of December and pass by. Right?
Most likely not. I have a wedding celebration on the 7th, and then I might not be there on the 8th, but we'll see about that. So guys, this is getting a little bit more, into detail. Thank you so much for listening and watching. The Blind Coach Rawad will be back. I'm pretty sure, if he still likes me.
We're gonna get like 1-star rating after this, like too many triggers. Looking forward. It's always great to talk to you, whether recorded or not. And thanks everyone.
That's what I do today. Live long
and
and prosper.
We do this one.
Oh,
okay.
Wait. Yeah. Oh, hey, good. Wait.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
You make it.
We got there. I think once we have our 10th sequel, then thank you very much.
Next time.
Ciao.